us. That side is on that side, but you got to get comfortable on that side. Is it live?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear the intro.
See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't hear the intro yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't hear the intro. Anyways, good morning. What did Ron say? Welcome to The Voice.
Yeah.
Here again at 1950 South Shepherd, coming to you live. We got some special guests today. We have Ron, who's our newest peer support, and Miss Ruth, his wife. Baby Ruth. That's bedroom talk. Not here, guys. But yeah, they came up to the office. I've been chilling with the girls all week, with the ladies, and so it's good to see you all this morning.
It's good to be
Good morning.
here.
Good morning.
Glad to be here.
Glad you're here too. But yeah, so Tatum talked them into sitting on the couch today while she's in the background producing. The other two were just not having it, and so I'm gonna fill in the best that I can.
You're not even paying attention to us.
You're so great. Shout out to Cassandra for being here with us this week. While the guys are gone, she knows the ropes of everything around here, and me, Theta, and Desi are the newest to the tour team, so it was so nice having you around, and we had all the good laughs, man. I can hear y'all laughing from downstairs. But yeah,
Good medicine.
it's been a great week.
Yeah, it has. How's you all's week been? What do you got planned for the weekend?
Our week's been busy. Today was my day to just relax and come here and be with y'all. And it's been great. My weekend. Tomorrow, don't have nothing. Maybe the dance in Clinton. And then Sunday, church. We're having the MMIW remembrance and things going on at our church in Clinton at the Quinnipiac Mennonite Church. So anybody's welcome. What are you doing?
I've got paperwork to do. I've got different things to do at enrollment, but today just kind of one of the days that you tie up loose ends and get everything situated. So get everything set up, get everything lined up, and then you can hit it again on Monday morning, and try to get. But today's a really, really good day so far. I got to sit outside, drink some coffee, listen to the birds, pet the dogs, watch a little news, and then get up and get ready and come to work, so it's been really uneventful, but it's quite a long drive from Milk City to here, but it's some way, somehow we always make it without anything happening, car breaking down or anything else, but so our thanks for traveling, in a good way, that you come up here and have a good time, we had a bunch of laughs before we even went live, so so but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that I'm glad it's Friday, I'm ready for the weekend, so yeah.
Yeah, man, it's an eventful weekend actually. So Janet, her girls are on head staff. We're co-hosting out in Clinton for the graduation dance. Tatum's gonna go share her story this afternoon. That's a big deal over at South Coast. I get to go to Pawhuska to start the walkathon off, and then
I see that.
I'm like, what else do we got going on?
That's cool.
Yeah, Barry's celebrating his 4th birthday.
Wow.
On Sunday. And
Big ups, Barry.
So it's a big weekend, man. Miss Andrea. Hi, sister, big sister, mentor, everything, all of
Hey.
it. Good morning. Hi, Dorothy. Oh, she says hi, Ron.
She said hi, Ron.
Hey,
Hey, girl. Hey.
call me when you get home.
Oh, goodness. Oh, good morning, Jenna. Hi, Miss Shelley. Man, it's good to see everybody on. Yeah, this is we'll get into the meditation here in a moment, but before I read it, man, it just goes along with everything that we had talked about last night in our in our talking circle. And what are we racing? but but yeah, I don't know. Today's just it's a very good day. You know, Tatum's got some shout outs going on here in a little bit. I'll let her get to that in a moment.
I just realized I forgot to change the date on this, so it says the 3rd because I thought it was the 3rd, but it's the
Oh.
2nd. So I can't be perfect every day. Okay.
That's okay.
No, just kidding.
Progression, not perfection.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
If that's the worst thing that you do all day, come on,
For sure.
Like I've seen people freak out whenever, things spill on their clothes, on their shirts. And I'm like, you know what? It's better on my shirt than in my life. I'll take a small stain on my shirt than a catastrophe in my life.
Yeah.
Good point.
And so, every time, anytime that happens to me, or if I'm like wearing white shoes, man, I'm like, all right, better on my shoes, better on my shirt than in my life. This is small compared to
Yes.
what could be or what could have been. And most of the times, those could have been, what could be, are just things that have happened that haven't even happened in my mind. You know what I mean? That's crazy. It's crazy
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, you're exactly right. One of the tools I learned when I was in treatment was to be able to measure my problems compared to my sobriety. How big is this problem compared to my sobriety? And and you start looking at your daily occurrences that happen to you, stuck in traffic or whatever it might be. Those are like a 1 or a 2. They're like way down there at the bottom of the pile, it because you're going to get through it in just a little while. Bigger problems I need to tackle is issues with my sobriety and how to maintain it and protect it. Those are the bigger ones that I need to worry about. Just like you said, spilling something on your shirt, getting some on your shoes. Those are like way, way down there, because, I can lose a pair of shoes or I can stain a pair of shoes, but if I lose my recovery, then I've lost everything.
Yeah.
And if,
Yeah.
if you knew me before, before I got into recovery, you would know today um, why I laugh today, why I'm happy today, because, been to so many dark places in my life that today, I feel like anything that comes along, I can handle it. Anything, and even the death of a loved one, you get through it clean and sober, and it's hard sometimes. It gets really hard. It gets really emotional, and sometimes it's hard to identify exactly which emotion you're feeling at what time, but
Hmm.
you get through it, and you know, so my sobriety is like, my top priority. Everything else falls way down there. It's on the bottom of the list, and that's how that's what keeps me like structured and kind of secure in my day to day activities.
That was real pivot. That was good. I think. I
Yeah.
mean, that was so good. You know.
Mm,
That
what was it? Oh my
was
God.
loud.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was the buttons they pushed.
I was practicing that noise before we came up here. Mm.
I did it, but it was just super weak.
Just think we got some smoke.
Yeah, come
There. Wave that around. Take it around. Push that over
just
by
down
her.
here. No. She said, what was that?
Who was that?
You won't keep me away from these sounds anymore. Now that I know how to work them, you know. There are a lot of
Mm.
Oh man, that was good. That was perfect. Oh man, you know what? I just realized we didn't go through the good mornings in other
No.
languages. But yeah, Pivot Walnut. Gnocchi, Hunstedish. Right? Did I say that right? Hunstedish. OCO. Yattahe.
Guana.
Oh, we can go to some comments real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go through some comments real quick. You want to read?
Where did we leave off? Dorothy. Good morning, Janae from Standing Rock.
Good morning. Good
Yeah,
morning.
I've been there.
Yay
Standing
Barry from Shelley. Good morning from Awassa Misty. And Stacy
morning.
Starr said hi, Ron. And
Hey,
good morning,
Stacy.
ladies. And Dave Levi. Mucho pivot. Mary Faye. She said, I tend to forget that I am not in control of everyone and everything. God is in control, and the sooner I accept that, the better I am. Yes.
Yeah, man, that is so true. Like,
Oh, she said, good morning. Just a few of my favorite Cheyenne folks, Cassandra, Ruth, and
I
Ron.
think that deserves
Oh,
another
thank
boo-hoo.
you.
Good morning.
Thank you. I'll pay you when I see you. Remind me to cash app you. Yeah.
You want mine? You want my tag? too?
Yeah. I'll give you mine too. Yeah.
While we're at it.
I probably would if you'd have gave me a hug.
Oh my gosh.
That's gonna be brought
Listen,
up
I am never gonna
forever.
live that down. You guys just don't know. So I seen, Auntie Ruth walking. He came in first, and we just started terrorizing each other from the get. And she comes in, and I didn't even it was just like natural. I just got up, gave her a hug, and then he starts telling this story.
How we got a hug?
How he had to ask for a hug at the combine practice. And then I was like, "Oh, do you need a hug?" And he goes, "No. If you didn't give me one when I first walked in, I don't need one now." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" About threw me out of my seat, man. It was a good laugh. It was a good laugh, Uncle. I
Yeah, it's a
appreciate
good morning.
that. It was a good morning. It is a good morning. I feel really blessed that I'm able to sit here on this couch with you. You guys have long-term recovery. You're doing the work and putting in the work, and you're showing us young people and even our older people and elders that walking in a life without substances is possible. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I think one of the last few times I saw you guys before I went to prison was at a birthday party, and here I was trying to maintain like this image that I was sober, that I wasn't drinking. And when I thought about that and looked back at it, I was like, man, who are you fooling? You were not fooling anybody. You know what I mean? Like, and I was telling the ladies yesterday, I see all my mannerisms how I used to be and how I thought that I was walking this straight line, and I wasn't. Like, I just
Yes.
wasn't. But never once did you all ever like look down upon me. Never once did you say anything to make me feel judged or any less of a person. You guys were still, you were the same person. You know what I mean? Like, definitely, an image of God's love. And so I just really appreciate both of you all and what your values, what you stand for, and who you are in our communities. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It means so much to my heart, so much to my soul.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you very much.
this thing keeps falling off my head.
Yeah, one of the things I learned in treatment was when they say the words clean and sober. You're clean and your body's clean. Sober means you're sober in thought, and then what I'm still learning, is how I present myself to people and how my body language presents myself to people. There's times where I can look intimidating, assertive, and there's times when you see me, my guard is completely down, and and I'm just relaxed and at ease, and that's the way I feel now because I know all of you guys, and stuff. But when we're sober and we're sober in thought, we have to think about how we presented ourselves to our family
Mhm.
during our addiction, how our family saw us. And in essence, what we did was train our family to think about us in a certain way. We trained them because we said, "Oh, we're just going to the football game and I'll be home after that." And you come staggering in 2 a.m., high or drunk.
Mhm.
Well, you do that so many times when you go to the football game, he won't be in till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We've trained our family to think about that. So when we're sober in thought, we have to think about, well, my family don't come around anymore. They don't want nothing to do with me. That's because we trained them to think certain things about us by our own behaviors. And so the only way that we can untrain them to think more positive things about us is to start doing positive actions, doing positive things, and when they see you at church, when they see you dancing in the arena on Friday night instead of, being drunk, then you slowly train them back to thinking good things about you and positive, and they start coming around and they start believing in you and they start having hope for you, and they pat you on the back and give you praise because you're doing something. When you get 1 week clean and you get a month clean, then you get 3 months clean, then you get a year clean, then your family starts believing in you, and essentially you're wiping away everything that you taught them about you yourself, and you're teaching them how to react to the new me. This is the
Mhm.
new me, and the transformation from old self to new self takes a long, long time. Because even today, after over 25 years clean, I still say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Believe me, I've seen me do it and I regret it. I'll regret it, and at night I go home, I take a 10th step. Did I harm anybody today? Did I
Yeah.
do anything wrong to, And so I become sober about how I treat people because I do not like having to do a 10th step and becoming honest and saying, yeah, man, I said that to so and so. And I do not like having to go apologize for something I said. So I'm more about, well, if I don't say it and and maybe I can find a way to be supportive, then I don't have to apologize if I just become sober about my behaviors and my actions and my words. So that's what clean and sober, that's what that means to me, being sober in thought.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. That is
Yeah.
so good. Lisa says, Gwana and dang, thank you for sharing it in that way. We just thank you for that way you shared it.
In a good way
Hi,
like that.
Julia.
Julia. All right, shall we get into the meditations? Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead
All right.
on.
Go on then. All right, so we're in spring meditations with the Native American elders. If you guys have these books at home, follow Don Quayes on Facebook. These are always posted. So today's May 2nd. Think only about what is holy. Empty your mind. Archie Fire, Lame Deer, Lakota. If we let our minds wander, we will come up with a lot of junk. Maybe bad thoughts about a brother or sister, maybe angry thoughts, maybe self pity thoughts. Our minds are not the boss. We can instruct our mind to think about whatever we want to think about. We cannot stop thinking, but we can choose what we think about. The elders say we move towards what we think about. That's why they say think about what is holy, think about the grandfathers, think about culture, think about values, think about ceremonies, think about good. Today I intend to focus on Great Spirit today, empty my mind and let me experience what it would be like to think about what is holy.
That's good. I always try to think positive. I catch myself in times, where I'm thinking negative and thinking bad and this is going to happen, but then I catch myself And I'm like, no, this ain't going to happen. No, it can turn around. No, this can happen. It can get better, you know. And then I always say a little prayer, everything's going to change, And then I changed my mind of thought. It's hard, and there's a lot out there, a lot of people out there that are negative, and it seems like they feed off of it. So I try not to feed into it.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh no, it can change. And then some, people say, well, why are you so, positive? Why are you always so happy? Why are you so, well, that's because that's the way I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be happy. I want to be positive. And and people will notice it a lot. I'm always like, no, this can happen, or this, no, you got to think positive. This can happen, and try to change the subject, try to change their thinking, knowing I can't. But, you just got to put that seed, that you can change your thought. You can always change your thought anytime. You're positive, and then maybe 15 minutes later, you forget you're positive and you start going back down. But you can stop again and go positive again. And I mean, it's a daily thing, but it's hard. But, it's possible if you just make a conscious effort to think about what you're thinking. That's all.
Ho.
Good stuff.
No, I really like that you said that, because a lot of it goes into being mindful, right? Like,
Mm.
I know that, and it always takes me back to this verse, as a man thinketh he is, or as a woman thinketh she is. And so if I'm not okay between my two ears, soon that's going to play out in my actions, okay?
Yes.
And so I have to be really mindful about what I'm feeding myself, what I'm telling myself, what I'm thinking about, because our thoughts almost dictate what we're going to walk in, what we're going to talk in, what we're going to act in. And so if I don't sit down and breathe, if I don't sit down and pray, if I don't sit down and just, because that's the one thing that I can control. Like,
Yes.
that's my side of the lane. I can't control what anybody else says. I can't control what anybody else thinks. But if I can sit down once I'm aware of that, and change those thoughts, like, no, you're good. You're good enough for this. You're enough. You're loved. And that self-pity, drive that self-pity out, because I think a lot of times when we fall into that mess too, um we end up showing that to other people in our lives, and the people that we care about, so they get the backlash of an old trauma, an old wound, something that has nothing even to do with them. But if I think about the good things, what is pure, what is lovely, what is just, what is beautiful in his sight and in my sight, then eventually I'm going to start believing that. And I have to believe that. Like, if I don't believe that, then it's going to be really hard for me to believe that in somebody else. But if I believe that in my own self, then it's so much easier to reciprocate that to somebody else, regardless of their attitude, regardless of how they're walking and talking and acting. Like, I think that's one of the most beautiful things about being sober. Like, it goes with what you said, being sober in thought. And Phyllis said sober in thought. I like that. And I've just been sitting here looking at that, and I was like, man, that is so good, because even in my recovery, there have been times where I've acted out, in thought, in action, as if I was still in my addiction, as if I was still using, if I was still drinking. And I really have to step back and be like, all right, what's going on here? Like, what is going on here, Cassandra? This isn't who you are. You haven't put all this work in. You haven't went through all these changes to still be acting like this. And I get it, we're not perfect. We're not perfect. And some days are a lot easier than others. And some days are a lot harder than others. But I think if we just take that moment to pause, and that's what we talked about last night in the talking circle, when we take that moment to pause and just to be still, like, that's an action of obedience in itself, you know, for
Mhm.
just being like, people think being still is a bad thing, but it's not, man. There's obedience on this other side of that, because we quiet ourselves down so that we can hear, so that we can know what he's saying. Because if this relationship is right, then this relationship is right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's just when I go back to when I think about that. You know, when I think about that, just being emptying the mind and letting his thoughts be my thoughts, man. Like, we're all in a good place. We're all in a
Yeah.
good place.
Good. Thank you. That was good.
And I mean, I really liked it. And continue on what you were saying. We pray. Even our recovery. And those prayers are holy to us. And um, we use them a lot. And then we pray, help me through the day, help me with this job, help me, show me which direction I need to go. But if we don't get still and get quiet, then we don't hear the answer. We don't get to hear it. You have to get quiet and sit and listen so you can hear that small, quiet voice that's telling you, you know, go over here and go do this. And if we're busy and hustling around, even though we pray throughout the day, if we're busy and hustling and multitasking, and I got to be here by 2 and back over here by 4, and then we're not being quiet, and we're not being able to. You got to find that time to get quiet so you can hear your answer. Because the Creator's talking to you all the time, and a lot of times we're not listening. And I think that's why the Creator gave us 2 ears and one mouth, is so we can listen more than we speak.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to listen to the Creator, listen for our answers. And but that's probably the holiest thing that you can think about, is your personal relationship with your higher power, God, the Creator, whichever way you want to identify your higher power, the God of your understanding. But um, that's why I do that in the mornings. I go outside and I sit down and I drink some coffee. And birds are chirping away 5:30 in the morning. I don't know why, but they are. I guess they're happy to be awake too. But um, I get quiet and I go do my thing. And we got one dog, and she's a rescue dog, and she just craves attention all the time. You pet her and she'll walk off, and 2 minutes later she's back over there wanting petting again. And a lot of times that they're just sitting down and petting her and talking to her, letting reassuring her she's in a safe place, because we saw signs of abuse towards this animal. And when you say, "Hey, get off that chair," and she would cower down and she'd run and hide. Oh man. And one time I was going to sweep off the back patio, and I grabbed a broom and she cowered down and took off. I'm like, oh man, somebody's been beating this dog, and somebody's been hollering and yelling at us. So now we're at that point where we do that with that dog. We're always catering to her, and different stuff. And if there's leftovers, we'll make sure she gets a good portion, because the other 3 dogs will tear it up and won't let her have any. But part of petting that dog is part of it's got a therapeutic value to it. And for some it's greater, for some it's not so great. But just sitting there petting her, reassuring her that she's in a good, safe place,
Yeah.
is and then we got to that good, safe place by trying to keep our homes clean, trying to set our boundaries and keep our homes clean. But everything that all of our successes, how we got here, how we got 25 years, how we stayed together working on 33 years, that all comes from the Creator.
Yeah.
So that personal relationship has got to be probably the holiest thing that I know.
It's beautiful.
And patience.
Just don't pray for it. No.
Yes, I go.
My Uncle Perry chimed in. He said, "Good morning, niece. I'm so proud of you." Well, that's awesome. Thank you, Uncle. Like, I love you. That makes me feel good to hear that coming from you. And then the brother David Deere says, "Good morning." Elron says, "Good ways." Hi, Leslie. Good morning. Battlefield of the mind. Mindfulness is constant. It's gotta be. Like, it's gotta be. Those times where I slip out of that mindfulness, man, I slip into reaction instead of responding.
Yeah.
And that's never good. It's not good for the spirit. It's not good for the people on the other side of that. I had shared like last night that rather than taking the time and breathing and pausing and man, I just kind of blew up on my nephew last week, and it hurt. You know what I mean? By the end of it, we were both crying. And even after stepping away from it, we both sat down and talked about it, and we put everything on the table of how he felt, how I felt, and we worked through it and talked through it, and that was a big deal, man. Like, that was a big deal.
Adulting.
Yeah, adulting. Yeah,
It's not
Good morning.
easy.
Yeah.
And man, it isn't easy, but I'm finding out that a slow pace is a good pace, and it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how fast. I don't need to be going 1,000 miles an hour or committing to 1,000 different things. If it's going to cost me being present in the moment. So.
Yeah, and I remember one thing about myself and my old self was it was always thought reaction, thought reaction. Thought blurt something out, thought blurt something out. And now my new self is like thought, dot, 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 dot. Dot, dot. Okay, now reaction. And that's so much better. But you talk about positive things and negative things enter your mind. And I shared with a young person not long ago about probably one of the most vital tools that we have is our self-talk.
Yeah.
What we tell ourselves on a daily basis affects everything about us, our self-esteem, our emotional well-being, our stability, our outlook on the future. It just affects everything. It's like the pebble in the pond, and it ripples out like that, and
Yeah.
but I think you have to be aware first that you're thinking that way. That's where you get sober in thought. You got to
Yeah.
be. Oh yeah, and that.
And that.
And there's
that.
a lot of people too that will try to put you in a place, like you're all positive, happy, and all this. And then they're like, "Oh, you can't do that." And you're like, "Oh, I can't," And then you start doubting yourself. You start, thinking, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I can't," But you have to stay positive. And what was it? Think of yourself as, the people that come along and try to, bring you down, say something. And it's kind of like you're, what is it? Shell and all the bad things that they bring to you, and it irritates you, interrupts you, and everything, but it's only making a pearl. So just think of it as you have a pearl inside of you. So every time somebody says something bad or does something bad and it irritates you, you're making a pearl. So you're going to come out just beautiful.
I was just
so
reading
sweet.
that the other day, reading about how a pearl is made or how they're formed is because they're damaged.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to like scripture too, huh? There's beauty in ashes. There's beauty that comes out of the ashes, and people too with the phoenix.
Yes.
There's so much life that comes out of that comes out of a death. You know what I mean? And not physically somebody passing away, but just letting go of those old things, those old habits, those old thoughts. And we had to go through what we went through, but on the other side of it, it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot more beautiful because we're coming into our true selves.
Yes.
Wow. I like that.
So you just have to kind of go to the Creator and let that irritation go, because it'll build you beautiful.
Let Him be the filter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. I know. I mean, it made me think of like, you know, when I would go to somebody else outside of the creator, and then I would be confused. You know what I mean? Like, I would be
Yeah.
confused. I would leave a conversation like more irritated, more more unbalanced, I guess, and just thinking like, well, that didn't solve. Like, that just almost made the problem worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you ask 5 people the same question, you could get 5 different answers, you
Mhm.
know. So,
I think it's because we want an immediate answer, something that we think will work. But if you go to the creator and just have patience and wait, it will finally come. Don't rush.
and we got to watch out because sometimes we're asking people that will feed us the answer that we want.
Or that they want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
or
can
that they
benefit.
want. People pleasing,
Yeah.
there's a whole array of stuff going on there, So I mean, it's always just go straight to the creator to get the true answer.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's we did an exercise when we were in treatment, and there was 50 of us, and the counselor, and we were sitting in a circle, 50 of us, and the counselor told the first person, tomorrow might be a free day, meaning we can do whatever, watch TV, we can sleep, no groups, no therapy sessions, right? And by the time it come around back to the counselor, and the counselor said, okay, tell me what you heard. Said, the rest of today's a free day and tomorrow is a free day. It was like we were in the same room, right? It was like, how did that happen? So we always got to watch out what's being said and stuff like that, um, and sometimes we just got to calm down and just take steps forward, even if they're baby steps,
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Oh, good morning, Buddha. Hi, Sister Sylvia. Pivot Walnut James. Good morning, Byron. Congratulations again on 7 years. It's a big deal. Appreciate the work that you're doing in your community.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, and Brother Tommy. Good morning, Unc. Auntie, sister, inspirations, all three. I'm very proud of you guys. We're proud of you too.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
So proud of you. You're always doing so much for, our community, and, especially with the prayers. Prayer goes a long ways.
Yes.
I tell people a lot, I can't, like, I can go straight to the source, and that's creator. Like, I will lift you up there, and I will fight for you in that manner, like, I know that he hears me. And, sometimes we want things physically right. We want things in our hands, but man, creator hears all, he sees all, and he gives us what we need. Now, and then, eventually, our desires, he'll bring us our desires too, but he gives us what we need in the moment, in the now. He said, my bad, wrong emoji.
What that? What?
Oh, he said,
Is
my
it-
bad, wrong emoji.
He put a wrong emoji.
I want to give some shout outs.
Yeah, let's
Go
go.
for it.
So I have a birthday shout out. James Pedro made it to 1 year of sobriety today.
All right, good job.
365 days.
Mm.
So
Congratulations.
that is my daughter's father, and I'm very proud of him and all of his hard work, and we will continue to support him.
That's word.
And I want to shout out to South Coast for having me out today as a speaker. I can't wait to see you guys and share some experience, strength, and hope with you guys.
You gonna tell us about South Coast?
Congratulations, James. We're proud of you, bro.
Well, Dave works at South Coast. Dave Levi. He is one of our main facilitators here for our Wellbriety Talking Circles. He's just a great guy. It's been so fun to see his family, come together. His wife Brittany and I are good friends. She comes to our women's groups, and I don't know, just their walk in recovery is beautiful to see, and so I'm gonna go and share with them and Yeah,
Back
That-
to back,
That's
right?
awesome.
back to back,
Back to
twice
back.
in a row. So
Is that Oklahoma City or where?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City. Yeah, South Coast was originally a treatment center in California, and they came and brought a location here. And
Oh, that's great.
from what I hear, it's a really great place. So that's all I got.
Well, I appreciate the shout outs. Again, congratulations. That's a big deal. James, keep it
Yes.
good. Keep it up. I forgot what I was about to say. I was about to say keep coming back.
It works.
It works if you work it.
Wait, I have one more shout out.
Okay.
Shout out to all of you guys for sharing
Aw.
your everything that was said today was beautiful. And I've been on here all week, and it was just so good, such a good feeling for me to sit back and really listen and shut up and listen. So we need that sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it
Relax.
rings true that we can only keep what we have by giving it away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true in every day, So that's what we have to do. We have to give it away. Even for the-
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
This girl and her singing and her accents today.
Oh man. Well, like it's cool because like this is who I am. Like this is who I am, and I don't have to hide who I am. And I appreciate that.
Ron's
I
always telling me,
feel
you're goofy.
yeah.
Because I do random stuff.
Yeah. And it's cool. I mean, I've always had to walk with this shell, this hard exterior or
Yeah.
with some walls up, but I don't feel like I have to be like that.
You can be
I
genuine in
yeah.
yourself.
I'm me. And you know what? I love me. Like I love who I am and who I'm becoming.
I love you
Yeah.
too.
I love you too. Well, thank you all for joining in. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your mammy about us. We're also on YouTube, but yeah, just keep coming back. Works if you work it. We love you and we thank you.
Bye.
Toodles.